Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay? All right. Perfect. I get a couple of thumbs up. Welcome to this month's State of the Business here at the Terraces of Los Gatos. It is good to be here, and I'm glad to see so many of you that are able to join us here in the GRA. Also very pleased that several residents, family members, team members that are joining us remotely through TLG TV or through Zoom. We are glad that you're here joining us as well. I would like to extend a special welcome to any new residents that may be joining us for the first time, either here or remotely. Linda Price, our Director of Sales, she'll introduce our newest residents a little later in the presentation, but just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware, one, that we're glad that you're here, and two, we encourage you to join us every month, first Thursday of every month, typically. Sometimes there's an exception, but typically first Thursday of every month here at 3:30 p.m. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge our Community Advisory Board. The advisory board consists of 15 members, all volunteers, some of whom are residents of the Terraces of Los Gatos, and the rest, or the majority actually, of whom are residents of the greater Los Gatos, Montesrino, surrounding areas. They dedicate their time, their passion, and each of their unique skill sets to serve the Terraces of Los Gatos in many ways, and ultimately help make this community the best community that it can possibly be. They help with everything from campus master planning, innovation strategies, special event planning and execution of those special events, and something that we're working on now, which is everyone's favorite, budget planning. So if all of the members of the advisory board, residents and non-residents that are here today, wouldn't mind standing so that we can recognize you. Thank you very much for all that you do. And Bob, don't sit down quite yet. We have the opportunity to have Bob James, who's one of our advisory board members, come up and tell us a little bit about himself. So, Bob, I'll turn this microphone on and the floor is yours. Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. Let's see. Can everybody hear me okay on that? Okay.
You got to get like right up in it.
Okay. So you got to get right up close to it. Right here. Is that it? Okay. Well, as Bradley mentioned, my name is Bob James, and I've been an advisory board member since 2012. And I'll first tell you a little bit about me, because this kind of leads to the connection in the community. And of course, the desire to be on the board, the advisory board. I was born in San Diego, 1953. My family moved to the Bay Area in 1958. My parents bought their first home in Los Gatos at that time. And they went on to build two other homes, one off of Kennedy Road and the other on Vista de Sierra, roughly the same neighborhood. They eventually retired in a small community outside of Weed, California, called Lake Shastina. One day, my mom and I were going through the files and just kind of organizing things. Yeah? Okay.
If it helps, you can just pull it out and hold it.
So, well, let's see, let's do it this way. Okay, so right up to my mouth. Got it. But at any rate, we were going through some files with my mom, and we found the first bill of sale for the home they purchased in 1958. It was a simple bill of sale, one piece of paper, and the price was $17,500. Crazy. I attended all the local schools. My kindergarten class was in Louise Van Meter, and I was part of the first classes attending Blossom Hill School across the street from the terraces. I was in the 5th grade at the time. There are a number of stories I could tell you about my early life in Los Gatos, so I'll relay a couple. I remember the train running through the town stores on North Santa Cruz Avenue. It stopped at the post office, in the area of the post office. My older brother and I would walk down and place a penny on the railroad tracks and watch the train run over it. And sure enough, the penny ended up a very flat, round piece of copper. In those days, it was very apparent how Blossom Hill got its name, especially when the apricot orchards were in bloom. After Louise Van Meter, I attended the Blossom Hill schools and then attended Raymond J. Fisher and eventually graduated from Los Gatos High School in 1971. In 1978, I married and we moved to a home that we purchased on Farley Road. And at that time, it was across the street from John's Nursery. You guys remember John's Nursery? Anybody remember? It was very convenient and a great place to go. We had our 2 children, and from there, we moved to a home on Lester Lane, and the kids went through the same schools that I did, which was actually a very interesting story. My daughter, in particular, attended the very same classroom in kindergarten that I attended. And so on Back to Teacher Night, my wife and I go there, and the room looked just the same. But the issue is I don't remember the chairs being so small. But it was fun to see the kids grow up in the same community that I grew up in. A little bit about my business background. I'm in the accounting and finance areas, and I was fortunate enough to meet a gentleman named Terry Duryea. I was working with an internet startup at the time, and we became friends and stayed in touch. And so it was through that connection that I came to the terraces. So a little bit about why an advisory board member. The preceding stories in my personal life in Los Gatos is the motivation. Terry introduced me to the board, and in 2012, I joined. It was truly an opportunity to continue or to contribute to the community that had given me so much in my life. The board itself, as Bradley mentioned earlier, is an advisory board. We help with short-term, long-term projects, and of course, fundraisers and events. It's a pleasure to be on the board. Thank you very much. Bradley, I'm not so sure that was the 5 to 7 minutes, but we got there.
You're perfect.
Okay, good enough.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank
you. I really enjoy hearing from our advisory board members because when we meet with the advisory board, like we get straight down to business. And I've sat in meetings for years with Bob and didn't really know a whole lot about your background. So thank you for allowing us to get to know you a little bit better, Bob, and thanks for all that you do for the community. Speaking of people who work hard to make our community the best it can be, now this isn't planned, and I apologize, but it was intentionally unplanned. Can all of the members of the Residents Council mind standing, and if you're comfortable and able to do so, joining me here up front for just a moment. So resident council members, any and all resident council members, if you'd like to, please come join me up front for just a moment. So this, come on up, Brian. This extraordinary group of people, led by Flo Creighton, our resident council president, do so much to make this community wonderful. The resident council and all the associated committees do so much to serve the residents as well as the team members. And so we wanted to take a moment to give you a very big thank you. So Flo, I'll present this to you. It is a very big thank you. And it's a thank you card, actually. And it says, TLG Resident Council, on behalf of the entire TLG team, we sincerely thank you for all that you do to serve the community. The work of the council and all the committees truly makes the Terraces of Los Gatos a special place for the residents and team members. We deeply appreciate our partnership as we work together to move our mission forward. Sincerely, TLG leadership. Big round of applause for our resident council. All right. We will now move on to the next portion of the meeting in which we will hear updates and announcements from various members of the leadership team. First, we'll hear from Linda Price, Director of Sales and Marketing. After we hear from Linda, we'll hear from Christy McKinney, our Director of Human Resources. And then we will hear from Sandy Mirasol, our Resident Services Director. During or after each of their reports, feel free to raise your hands, ask questions, if you have any questions or if you have any comments. And after we hear from each of them, I will share a few more items, and then we'll open it up for some more general questions, comments, and feedback. So, Linda, you're up. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's always good to see you, and I'm glad we are able to meet in person. Personally, I think I have the best job in the community, along with my team, Jana and EJ. We have the pleasure of meeting so many nice and amazing people when they come in to tour our community, and then later, most of which become wonderful residents that we get to interact with. So anyway, just a little partial, but I do think we have the best job. Well, we're already in the middle of third quarter. I can't believe it. Only 4 more months left in the year. And we are once again having a very busy year in sales and marketing. So to report on occupancy at this time, out of 175 independent apartments, we are 169 occupied. So we have 6 available, excuse me, let me rephrase that. We have 6 apartments that are sold and under renovation. Let's see. And actually, I need to correct that as well. There's 6 apartments that are under renovation, 4 are sold, 2 that we are still showing to the wait list. That's correct. We've had 1 move-in so far for August, which was this week. On Tuesday, we had the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Fred Smith and Mrs. Catherine Grillette Smith. Are they here? If not, they may be watching online, but we are so glad that you're here, and welcome to the Terraces of Los Gatos. We will have 1 more move-in towards the end of the month. That will be on August 22nd, and that will be Harold Vitale. So we'll look forward to welcoming him as well. We had a busy June and July as well. I'm going to read off some of the names of those folks who moved in with us because we never want to forget anybody. And I'm not sure I reported last month. We had 4 contract signings, so 4 sales in June. But out of those 4, I think every one of them, I think every one of them waited until after the 4th of July to move in. And then in July, we had 2 contracts. So July physically for move-ins and seeing new faces, we had quite a few people. So I just want to make sure we did not miss them. So we had a returning resident, Carol Castro. Is she here? If you're here when I call out your name, feel free to stand up so we can put a name with a face. But a lot of residents know Carol. I think she moved in originally in 2008, was with us for a number of years. I think she took a leave in 2014 and she has returned. So we're glad to have her, and she is in the P building, P395. From outside of the community, we welcomed Marilyn Sefcovic. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. If I butchered it, I apologize. Shevchovich. Thank you. But she was from outside of the terraces, and she moved directly into our lodge into C73. So welcome, Marilyn. And then the 4 that signed in June but didn't move in until after the 4th, we also had Richard Hamp, who moved from outside the community into our lodge into C62. Roy and Leanna Lord moved into P building P280. Dale Fisk moved into the P building as well, P295. And then Dr. Anthony Matukas moved into the N building, N361. So I hope you've had a chance to meet your new neighbors. If you haven't, please do if you see them. Thank you to the welcoming committee, as always, for being such good ambassadors and making them feel welcome. And we look forward to the next move-ins. We're probably going to have a busy 3rd and 4th quarter as well. We appreciate everything you residents do to help us out and to help us in the sales department and us as a community be successful and have such a good resident population. You're all amazing and wonderful people. And then lastly, just thanks to everyone. I may have said it before. If I did not, or if I did, I want to repeat it. To all those of you who, there were so many residents involved in a recent photo shoot that we did on campus. It was a 3-day photo shoot. It was very busy couple of days and just a lot of resident participation. We aimed at capturing resident life, and a lot of those photos and videos will be in upcoming new sales and marketing collateral that the home office marketing team is currently putting together. So we have not, many of you have asked about the photos. We've not seen any of those yet. We expect it late summer, early fall. And then just most recently, thank you. There was a few of you who we asked to open your homes to us because a different photographer came back and wanted, they're still going around to all of the human good communities, and they wanted to do still shots of model homes or resident homes. And as you know, this is a highly desirable community. Things sell too fast. They're sold before they're even vacated. So we don't have model homes, and you all have such different styles and have such beautiful homes. We were able to get some of the residents who could open those doors last week, and we got some good photos. So those will also probably be in some of that printed collateral, as well as on our updated website at some point in the near future. So thank you all very much. Any questions for me? If not, thanks. Have a good day.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy August. Can't believe we're already into the 8th month of the year. So I'm going to report on what's happening in the HR world with our team members, who has started working, who's going to be working, etc. So since we met last, we have hired 10 new team members. So we have, and I didn't write down how many of each one, but we hired a housekeeper, caregiver, trade line that works in the kitchen doing dietary, dishwasher, an activity coordinator for assisted living, charge nurse for the health center, wait staff in the dining room, and then a CNA. So we were happy that they've all started since we met last. We have 5 candidates that have accepted offers. So we have 3 in dining services, actually 4 in dining services, and 1 wellness nurse. So we're looking forward to having them come in after they complete all the background checks and all that goes into starting working here. And then I was just given some interview notes for 3 caregivers that I will go ahead and send offers out for the lodge. So lots of different activity, and excited about all the various team members that are able to fill positions in the departments that we have. Next, I always like to talk about our anniversaries. So for the month of August, we are celebrating 21 team members' anniversaries. 0 to 5 years, we have 10 team members. 6 to 10 years, we have 5. 11 to 15 years, we have 4. 16 to 20 years, we have 1. And our most senior team member for the month of August is Anna Gomez. She is a CNA in our health center, and she just celebrated 21 years. So if you know Anna, definitely please congratulate her. So again, lots of longevity that we have here, and hoping all these new team members will also work 10, 15, 20 years. Any questions for me? Yes. I'm assuming Bradley's going to have that. Usually he'll talk about updates in dining services. So I have the information, but I'll let him go ahead and share that. But thank you for the question. I knew it was coming. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have just a few things to announce today. Some of you have already joined the BOLD program. Want to remind people that it is free to the residents at this time. And if you're interested, please sign up with Evan. He will also schedule an activity in the near future. I believe it will be in August, to do another presentation of BOLD for those new residents and anyone that wants to come and see it again and ask a few questions and sign up. Tomorrow, we have our first aquatics class at 9 a.m. in the pool area. We've hired an instructor, and I have not met the person yet. He or she is from Send Me a Trainer company, which is new to the area. And it'll be the first class tomorrow. I will be dropping by to meet the instructor and also to watch a little bit of what goes on for the aquatics class. On Sunday, we'll be also having Sunday church transportation available 2 times a month. And that is thanks to Vic and Belai for willing to do at least 1 Sunday a month to provide the church service transportation to residents. So the first one is this Sunday, and I think they just put it up on the activities cube today. So if you're interested, please sign up. On those Sundays that we don't have the transportation drivers available, you may always use Lyft, and you will not be charged for that service. The next important thing that I want you to keep in mind is we're going to have what we're calling a community beach day for all staff and residents. That will be on Monday, August 29th at 1:30 to 3:30. It'll be set in several areas for independent living residents and those assisted living residents that can move over to the spring court, and hopefully it isn't too hot. We'll have it there, and we'll be celebrating just being out in the beach and in the sun. We'll make it fun. We're hiring live entertainment also for that day. We'll have Mr. Softy around to provide the ice cream for everyone. And we'll have some other things, but I'm not going to tell you right now what they are. Um, Also, just a reminder to all that my hours of work in the office are Tuesday to Saturday. I've been doing this for now 2 months or so, or 3 months. It's because I help my own father on Sunday and Mondays. He's in the Philippines, so it's kind of difficult, and I'm up late at night on a Sunday watching and talking to him and making sure he has the services like all of you have in his home. He's 90 years old now, so I'd like to just talk to him a little bit more and have some time to spend with him. And that's all I have. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, Susan. Okay. The question was that I had not met the aquatics instructor yet. Oops. And that who hired the aquatics instructor. Evan was the one who contacted, I believe his name is Zane Doherty, and he's the owner of the aquatics company, or the Send a Trainer company. He's worked with several of the local communities or retirement communities here. And we got some references, and they said they were pretty good at what they do. And so I told Evan to give me some information, and then we hired them. This is like a trial. I want to see how it goes. And it's every Friday at 9 o'clock right now. And I'll be there. I'll be watching. You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Christy. And thank you, Linda. And where are my notes? There we go. Appreciate those updates, and appreciate all that you do in your respective areas of responsibility. Couple of quick items, and then looks like we're gonna have plenty of time for questions. So that's good. Let's see. Before I forget, this Sunday, Sunday services are canceled. The pastor that was scheduled to be here is ill, and so Cindy was working on finding a replacement. Unfortunately, there's not one available, so no Sunday services here this Sunday in the GRA. Next, COVID. All right, we'll get this out of the way quickly. Currently, there's 16 members that are positive for COVID. No residents are currently positive for COVID. We've had a few questions lately about repeat cases, and so I have a little bit of information to share. Amongst residents, we are aware of, at least, and we have two repeat cases. So somebody that tested positive, completed their isolation period, and for all intents and purposes were fully recovered, and then subsequently tested positive a second time. So there were 2 residents that have been repeat cases, and there have been 10 cases amongst residents where the isolation period, has lasted longer than the standard isolation period due to sort of ongoing symptoms. So initially, the isolation period was 14 days, and then at some point over the past 2.5 years, it was changed to 10 days as the standard isolation period. So we've had 10 cases where isolation has lasted longer than the standard time period. The longest case that we've had was an isolation period of 45 days. And the average of those 10 cases that lasted longer than the standard isolation period was 22 days. And amongst team members, I don't have information on long isolation periods, but we have had 10 team members that have had repeat cases of COVID-19. So they had tested positive, completed their isolation period, and then at some point later in the future, tested positive again and had a second isolation period. Any COVID-related questions? Phil? So the question is, how many residents at the community have tested positive for COVID over the past 2.5 years? I don't have the number offhand. I will get it. I want to guess and say about 50 to 60, but I could be totally wrong. I'll find out, and then maybe we'll include it in the weekly updates tomorrow or possibly next week. Good question. Thank you. Yes, Ms. Weber. Are we expecting any monkeypox here? No. Yeah, we hope not, but it is something that we're aware of. Our community support center is the clinical team from our community support center is tracking the monkeypox situation closely and keeping us updated. As far as we are aware now, there's no additional precautions that need to be taken. But I remember when we thought COVID was just kind of something that wouldn't impact us, and here we are. So hoping it's not the case, but we're certainly prepared to act accordingly if need be. Any other COVID or monkeypox related questions before we move on? All right. I could talk about COVID for the next 30 minutes if you want. Okay. All right. Okay, a couple of upcoming events that I wanted to make sure that the community was aware of. Coming up next week, we will have a mid-year financial presentation here in the GRA at 1:30 p.m. On the 11th, 1 week from today. So 1 week from today, 1:30 here in the GRA. It will also be available virtually through TLG TV and through Zoom, through the Activities Cube. We will review the year-to-date financial performance of the community, and all are welcome to attend. Residents, team members, family members. Next, the social committee will be sponsoring an upcoming ice cream social. A lot of ice cream talk today, which I like that. We'll have an ice cream social sponsored by the social committee in the Galleria 2 weeks from today, so August 18th. And we really appreciate the social committee for sponsoring this event, and we are grateful for the foundation committee members who will be serving the ice cream at that event. So kudos to both the social committee and the foundation committee for putting that event together. Did I miss anything important about it? No? Okay. Again, 2 weeks from today in the Galleria at a time that is published, 1:30. Thank you, Judy. Next, the Hardworking Resident Council will be hosting an important conversation about PULSed, advanced directives and emergency response here at the terraces of Los Gatos. The PULSed, everyone may already know, but if you don't, the PULSed is a standardized form for physicians. It stands for Physician's Order for Life-Sustaining Treatment. This is one of those conversations that can maybe be uncomfortable, but is incredibly important. And we really want to encourage everyone to participate in this conversation. It will take place on Monday, August 22nd, here in the GRA. And the resident council, like I said, it is hosting the event, and myself, Charmaine Verador, who's our director of wellness and assisted living, and Sabine Sabine, who's a nurse practitioner, will be joining us for that conversation as well. One more upcoming event. John Cochran, who is the president and CEO of Human Good, he will be visiting the Terraces of Los Gatos in September as part of his listening tour to all of the communities throughout the organization. We are tentatively scheduled for a resident meeting where all residents are welcome on September 9th at 2:30 p.m. Once the details are fully finalized, we will put the information up on TLG Connect. We'll also share the information in the weekly updates, but we're tentatively scheduled right now for visit from John on September 9th. He'll be meeting with residents, and then we're also coordinating a meeting with all of our team members, all the team members that are interested to join as well. And really the purpose of John's visit is to provide some updates about the organization, but most importantly to hear from the residents and from the team members from each of the communities. So he's already visited quite a few communities, and we're looking forward to having him join us in a month or so. All right. As most of you, or many of you, likely already know, we have recently changed our therapy providers. This is the team of therapists that provide inpatient physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy to our residents in the health center. They also provide outpatient therapy services for our residents in independent living, assisted living, and memory support. The transition officially kicked off the 1st of July, and all things considered, it has gone about as well as could have been anticipated. So a little bit of background: we had been working with our previous therapy provider for about 7 years, and they had served our community quite well over the years. But we were experiencing some challenges towards the end there, and we decided to make a change. And what we did is we wanted to give as much time as possible to our incoming therapy provider to staff up, hire as many therapists as they could to have a smooth transition. So we issued a 60-day notice to our previous provider, and they swiftly came back and gave us a 30-day notice. So it sort of sped the process up quite a bit, which we thought might be the case, but we were hoping that wasn't the case. So anyways, it created some challenges. So I say all things considered, the transition has gone about as well as could be expected. Unfortunately, they are not currently in a staffing position to be able to serve as many outpatient residents as possible. So independent living and assisted living and memory support residents. However, progress is being made. We're currently now serving a limited number of residents, providing therapy service for a limited number of residents on an outpatient basis. And we are looking forward to having a new or an additional director of rehabilitation that will be dedicated exclusively to our outpatient therapy program. So we have currently a director of rehabilitation who's overseeing all of the therapy, the whole therapy program in the health center, and the incoming co-director of nursing or director of therapy will oversee and really build the outpatient therapy program. They're scheduled to begin on August 22nd. So after that date, we'll see an increase in their ability to serve more and more residents outside of the health center on an outpatient basis. We are also in the process of creating a document that outlines the services available from the therapy team and sort of explains the process for requesting and receiving therapy services. We hope to have that document done and released by tomorrow. Unfortunately, we've got a little bit more work to do finalizing some of our processes to make sure that we communicate the correct information and not have to go back and change it. So we have a few meetings scheduled in the next few weeks to finalize some of those items, and we hope to have that sort of explanatory document to release to the community by the end of the month. Any therapy-related questions before we move on? Good questions. The question was, what's the name of the new company? What was the name of the old company? The new company's name is Infinity Rehabilitation, and the old previous company's name was ONR, which standard for Orthopedic Neurological Rehab Services, maybe. So ONR was the old one, and Infinity is the new provider. Yes, Ms. Davis. Great question. So for anyone that didn't hear, the question was, are any of the current therapists old therapists that transitioned from the old company to the new company? And yes, there's, I don't have an exact number, but there was a good number of therapists that were employed by ONR who have since stayed on because they wanted to stay here at the terraces. And are now working under the direction of Infinity Rehab. All right, we'll move on. A couple of congratulations that I wanted to share. Many of you have probably met Bill Penrod. Bill joined our team about 6 months ago, and he has been serving in the capacity officially as Assistant Health Services Administrator. And in that role, he has essentially been overseeing all of the daily operations within the health center. The reason he is the Assistant Health Services Administrator is because in order to be the actual Health Services Administrator, you have to have a license, a nursing long-term care administrator license. And so I would like to give Bill a round of applause for recently completing his final exam to become a licensed long-term care administrator. Perfect timing, Bill. So Bill's standing in the back of the room. Huge accomplishment. And so just a little bit about Bill. Bill's worked in this industry for many, many years in various capacities, and he was previously the executive director of another community. And Bill and I have known each other for a number of years, and it was such a privilege for us to be able to welcome Bill to our team. And he has not only been working in that incredibly busy role, but he's been studying frivolously, I don't know if that's the right word, vigorously, not frivolously. He's been studying really, really hard to prepare for multiple exams through the California Department of Public Health and also the National Association of Long-Term Care Board. And in addition to the studying, he is actually working with a tutor, and he would wake up and have a study session with a tutor at 5 a.m. every Tuesday morning. So thank you, Bill, for all of your hard work. We're glad and not surprised, but very glad that you passed all of your exams on the first try. Good job. A couple of other congratulations. Olga Sanchez, many of you may know Olga. She's one of our wellness nurses. She has recently been promoted to lead wellness nurse. So if you see Olga, congratulate her on that new role, and she will be working very closely with Charmaine Verador in that role. Another recent promotion that we're excited for is Parul Patel. Parul is a charge nurse. She's worked in the health center for a lot of years. Yeah, I want to say some between 14 and 15 years. And she has been promoted to the nurse educator position. And we kind of use the term nurse educator and director of staff development interchangeably. In this role, Parul, she now oversees and supports the certified nursing assistants in the health center, and she is responsible for the training and ongoing education in the health center. So it really is an important role, and we are excited for Parul, excited to have Parul in that position. Last topic, but certainly not least, dining services. Everything is perfect in dining services. Thank you. That's all the time we have. Bad joke, I know. I have some updates. So Phyllis asked the question earlier, what's the status of Jeremy? Jeremy is the individual that we had extended an offer and he accepted the offer for dining services director. In that role, he would oversee all of the dining services throughout the community. That's the position that was previously held by Jerry Austin. As Christy mentioned earlier, we have a pre-employment process for all team members that come and join our team. And it can take a while. And sometimes it can take a long while. Unfortunately, the process was taking very, very long, and there were some hiccups in that pre-employment process with Jeremy. So we made the difficult, but I believe the correct decision to rescind that offer. And so we are not continuing to move forward with Jeremy in that role. However, there is good news. We are in communication with and hope to have everything finalized with an alternate, and in my opinion, actually a stronger candidate. We don't want to make any formal announcements until we are like 100% there to the finish line. But in short, there was a very, very strong candidate that had reached out to us. And when we made the decision to rescind the offer to the previous candidate, we were able to move pretty quickly with the alternate candidate. So there's still a few more steps that we need to do. One of which is have the candidate meet with some residents from the resident council and the dining committee. And so we hope to have that scheduled within the next week or so. But it's all very, very fresh, and we're hoping things work out. But we will provide concrete updates once things are absolutely concrete. We have an executive chef in the pre-employment process right now. And having learned from our last experience, once again, we are not going to make any formal announcements until things are 100% concrete. So we will share more information once it's finalized. We're hoping that the candidate that we have in line for the executive chef position works out, but we are prepared to make alternate plans in the event that that does not work out. Let's see. Finally, Sherry, who you all know and we all adore, she is working incredibly hard. And right after this meeting, we actually need 18 resident volunteers to stick around for just a minute, and we're going to take your picture. It's for a little something special that a few residents are working on to express their appreciation for Sherry. So if you'd like to be involved in this little project to help recognize Sherry, we need 18 people to stick around right after this meeting for a couple of minutes. Also, Sherry, unfortunately, she had a family emergency that she had to urgently attend to. So she'll be out for a few days. We don't have an exact timeline, but we don't anticipate her being out for much longer than a few days. And we're working closely with our regional dining team to make sure we have additional leadership support as we continue to move forward. So again, if you're interested in sticking around for a couple of minutes, we'll take your picture for a little project for Sherry. That'd be great. That's everything on my list. I turn the time over to you for any questions, comments, feedback. And Sandy, would you mind passing the microphone, or Chrissy? Should be now.
All right, all. Oh, sorry. Don't make me run too fast, all right?
Oh, Sandy, right here in the front. Well,
I'm wondering how the Terraces is doing financially.
Fantastic. No, it's a good question. And in short, the community is financially strong. The organization is financially strong. We are certainly able to pay our bills. And we're still a very strong financial community. Obviously, there's challenges with everything being much more expensive and labor challenges, but overall, the community still remains financially strong. And I would like to invite you and anyone else, again, a week from today, we'll get into all the details of revenue and expenses, where we're at year to date, and kind of talk about a little bit about what we anticipate between now and the end of the year. So next week, we'll go into a lot of detail. Good question. Thank you.
So with Bill having passed the required exams, will a promotion be in order for him?
Yes, and it certainly will. And so we're looking forward to that. Once everything gets finalized and processed through the state and he's fully licensed, he will, his job essentially won't change because he's already doing it. But yeah, it'll be a formal change in position for him.
Oh, thank you. Where is Vincent?
Oh, good question. Where is Vincent? I don't know. Where is he? No, Vincent had scheduled PTO for about 2 weeks. And he went and spent some time with his family and had a wonderful, wonderful trip. And unfortunately, upon his return, he needed to go on a brief medical leave. And we anticipate him being back next week, Sunday or Monday. He'll be back at the community.
And then another question I have, you know, we have a door that opens automatically on the one side.
Is there any reason we can't get the other side door to open automatically?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to. I think initially we did it to kind of, I don't know. Yeah, we should. I don't know why we haven't yet, but it's a good suggestion, and we'll see if and when we can make that happen.
I think we're trying to do one way in, one way out.
Oh, that's right. That's right. In the early days of COVID, where we wanted to have a separate entrance for everyone coming in, and then we blocked off the other door. I don't really remember. But yeah, we can now, and we should, so we will.
When do, boy, my voice is so loud anyway, I don't need this. But when do you think we will be able to bring friends into the dining room?
Good question. And I don't know if we have a date in mind for that or not. I don't know if that's me or. I don't know. That's a wonderful question, though. And if there is a date set that I don't know of offhand, we'll make sure to communicate that. If there's not a date set, we will try to make one and get that communicated. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, feedback, suggestions, jokes? Nothing. All right. What's that? We got to thank you. You're welcome. And on that note, we'll call it a meeting. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.